Hey, it's Webs here, and it's time to embrace the August Celestials in this nature-based team, using Yulon as a new way to scale up nature damage, and Xuen as a way to have a big finisher with nature. The basic idea of this build is to actually diversify your sources of damage within a nature build that you normally wouldn't really have, since most nature builds are mainly just blasters. And this allows you to have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to what builds that you're really good against and which ones you're not. And you also have a way to actually get instantly plus 12 nature damage if you can get one enveloping miss off while Brightwing is actually out on the board. And if Yulon lives for long enough, you can actually have both of your ways to scale nature damage out on the board at the same time, while also providing you a perfect counter for Valeera whenever she does have her stealth up with her second ability. And because Yulon is a new mercenary, most people actually will just keep her alive, as they don't really expect you to scale nature damage with her that quickly, though you can actually one-shot the entire opponent's board if you do have her out for long enough where you're scaling up your nature damage, as seen in the clip behind me. So for the first mercenary that we always put down is Malfurion. He is the healer for the nature-based teams, and we're using the stereotypical life root staff as our equipment for Malfurion, as this will allow us to keep our mercenaries alive for a longer period of time. Nice thing about this build in particular, Entangling Roots, which would be the second ability that you would actually need on Malfurion, is kind of worse just because of the fact that you're probably going to want to entangle the same mercenary that you also target with Yulon's ability, which means that Entangling Roots will make that mercenary not attack, and thus you won't get double damage on Yulon more than Entangling Roots. The second mercenary on the team is Brightwing. We're mainly using her as a additional healer, though you could use Brightwing's necklace as a additional way to buff up your later mercenaries on the team that are on the bench, as this build is centered around trying to make your backline as tanky as possible before they actually come out. But I do like having Pixie's pouch as the equipment instead, just because it gives me some healing if she will survive long enough. And for the most part, we're only really using Fairy Breath on rotation, and then Pixie Dust if one of our mercenaries get real low. Though this doesn't really come up too much, it is nice to have fully upgraded. And now for the mercenary that this build is centered around, and the reason why I wanted to do this build. So Yulon is a interesting mercenary because she does counter Valeera pretty hard with her second ability, but you don't really ever have to upgrade this. So if you have to choose between upgrading this fully or upgrading her equipment fully, always choose to upgrade this equipment, just because this allows you to scale your nature damage even quicker. And speaking of how you actually scale your nature damage, the one downside of this scaling ability is the fact that it is arcane. I don't know why it's arcane. It makes no sense, but it doesn't get sped up because of Malfurion, so you have to watch out about lining things up. You probably are going to want to use this off of cooldown no matter what anyways, but it is worth mentioning here. And finally, the other ability that is really useful on this mercenary, especially if you go against Valeera, is Jade Gust, which can literally just one-shot Valeera if she's out of stealth, and you can easily knock her out of stealth again with Jade Flame Buffet. And the fourth mercenary that we usually put down is Brukan, who is the original way to actually scale nature damage within a team. The equipment that I'm using for him is Lightning Rod, just so we can bounce the Chain Lightning a little bit more and make it a bit better, especially because we are scaling the damage so quickly, and we can pre-scale the damage in this build compared to some of the other nature builds, which makes us a bit stronger in this build than something else. And for the fifth mercenary on the team, it is Xuen, who is mainly in here for another way to have a big payoff for nature damage through his final ability, Tiger Lightning. This will repeat every time you actually kill an opponent's mercenary with this, which is pretty strong against any caster-based teams. You can also use Pounce once before you actually use Tiger Lightning, just so you can actually scale up the damage even further, and that's my honest recommendation. And the equipment that we're using is Celestial Chestplate, as this will allow you to steal some attack from your opponent's mercenaries, and if they're an attack-based mercenary team, then you might actually steal away some damage that might kill one of your other mercenaries. And finally, the last mercenary on the team is Cookie. I'm using him for two reasons, which is a big shock to actually say. Most teams I just include him in because of appetizers, but his damage does scale with all the nature damage scaling that you have in this team, and being able to get a ridiculously big bleed on your opponent's entire team is really funny, and they don't really expect that, especially because who would have thought bleed would have actually scaled with nature damage, you know? With that all being said, let's go find some games. Okay, so we're gonna put these 3 down. Okay, so they're gonna start with Malfurion. I mean, we can try to kill Malfurion. I don't think this is gonna work, but we can always try. Oh, actually, it might work. Not on turn 1, but on turn 2. This does also lower their damage output. Okay, so try to scale nature damage. Do that. Only this was quicker. We could no. We're gonna play it smart. The dumb play would be try to AoE everything. That's gonna fill up a bit, so it doesn't really matter. We'll get that up. We're gonna do that. We're gonna try to do that. Then we're gonna do. Actually, we'll do that, and then we'll target this with that. Hoping Brightwing will actually be able to kill one of their mercenaries, and there we go. And I hope that hits Cairn. It does not. He did attack, so that's pretty cool. Trying to think of what they'll do next. I'm assuming... Okay, not Diablo. How much damage does this have? Okay, so... Oh no. Yeah, we'll still do it like this, because we haven't triggered the death on that yet. We're going to scale the nature damage even further up. And then we'll use Brightwing's second ability, I think, next turn. Yeah. Oh, and they give up. Okay, so they're mainly protectors. Trying to... Orcs? It wouldn't really make sense if it was orcs. If it was orcs, then why only one fighter? Ah, well, that's another team that would only have one fighter. I'm assuming it's Belinda. Actually, it could just be... Oh, interesting that that isn't actually the right equipment, but it is what it is. I'm assuming Diablo is probably their last for the missing fighter. We're going to get local lore down pretty damn low. Wait, what? Okay, that's weird. Yeah, we'll scale the nature damage. That almost kills that, and this will kill it. They had the right equipment, but why did they use that ability? We're gonna put Brucon down, and then we're gonna focus down Jaina, I think. Yeah, most definitely Jaina. Or we could do something funny and focus this down, because that should kill Lich King in one turn. Which is kind of funny to actually think about, but it just depends. Oh, I guess it doesn't even get to attack. Okay. We did kill it in one turn. Okay, so we do have this to keep scaling nature, but I don't think that's going to work out a second time. It would be cool if you could, like, swap out mercenaries in between. Diablo's down next. Well, we're going to try to kill this. Oh, I should have actually used the one ability. Okay, so that's dead. It's going to hit twice. Yeah, we'll put Zulong down. Do that. We heal. And we'll pounce on Varden. This should get rid of 2 of them, unless this gets hit by the Frozen from Varden. And it doesn't. That's real nice. But he's frozen this turn, and he'll be able to stomp. Oh, and they give up, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what weird, wacky shit this guy has this time. Okay, so... everything else besides Yulong will focus down Rokara, since it's orcs, I'm assuming. And even if it is orcs, we do have a pretty good matchup against this team. Okay, they're going to try to get Malfurion dead. That's fine. we'll kill their Samuro. Next turn we can heal. I'm assuming whatever one they put down. Okay, we're gonna repeat this again. And then we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna heal. This should heal Malfurion all the way up to full, which is pretty decent. Or pretty close to full. It is a nature ability itself too. You're gonna... Oh, I guess I did not see that one coming. Let's scale nature damage. AoE should still be quicker. Yeah, let's do it like this. I think the only thing that could happen is Zyrilla maybe kills Malfurion, but I guess it won't, since we'll get the AoE off. Man, I think that's the only time I've ever used that ability, and it's done that much. Okay, so we're going to put down our normal 3. They have a balanced team, so we don't really have any prediction of what it could honestly be. Okay, so Grom, Natalie, and Valera. I've seen that comp a lot today, which kind of weird. We're going to focus down Grom, mainly because we can't actually target the Valera right now, at least easily. It's just going to bounce off, so we might as well try to hard focus down a different mercenary instead. So they're going to focus down Brightwing. They won't be able to kill it in one turn, which is good for us. And we won't be able to kill their Grom in one turn, but that's perfectly fine. And we still can't target through the stealth. But we can actually trigger the stealth off this turn, which is really good. Normally I would have liked to use the nature scaling ability here first, but I'd rather get rid of the stealth so I can instantly one-shot the Valera and get it off the board. They're going to be able to get our Brightwing off the board. We're going to put down Brucon. We're going to scale up the nature damage and then AoE. So we probably, or just use Lightning Bolt. We probably should have used the first ability of Yu'lon on Valera first. But I think it won't really matter too much here. They do get stealth back. It's interesting how that interaction actually works. That stealth just comes back up instantly once you run out of 2 turns on Yu'lon, but I guess it is how it works. It's annoying as hell, but can't do much about it. We're going to unstealth them again. We're going to use the Chain Lightning also, because we do have some lightning damage, and we should be able to do a bunch of damage to Cairn, maybe even kill him. That gets rid of that. Let's see how this works. And it doesn't kill anything. Just jumps from left to right. Here I really probably should have just targeted once on Valera, but I wanted to make sure she was going to be dead even if we didn't have the double damage because of her attacking first, since this guy seems to be really smart when it comes to stuff like that, and they're going to heal them up to full anyways. That's the other reason. We don't get the nature damage off of Brucon, but we do get the nature damage off of Malfurion and Yu'lon, which is great. We have Xuen down, so we should be able to do some AoE damage here next turn. Now, if they attack with Diablo, we'll instantly kill it, but if they don't, then we will just chunk it for a little bit. We're going to use Pounce on what we want to try is Diablo, but we know it's not going to happen. It's just going to go to Cairn anyways. Cairn gets real low. We should be losing Malfurion soon, and they actually did attack with Diablo, which is really, really funny. We do have so much damage going for us right there. We're going to target Natalie, use the scale damage, and then use Tiger Lightning, because this should be able to one-shot at least 2, depending on how much our lightning damage is scaling up. And if it hits Cairn, we should be fine too, as long as they don't heal with Natalie. Okay, they're going to focus down Malfurion. Get rid of Malfurion, which sucks, but it is what it is. And now we get to see how much damage we actually have. Turns out you can actually one-shot the entire board. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the build. So overall, the build did pretty decent. I didn't run into that many competitive builds, which is kind of worrisome just because of the fact that I was doing testing for this a little bit later in the week because I didn't think I was actually going to put out a mercenary video for Friday this week and how down that event actually has gotten me. But I thought this was a neat little idea to try to explore, and the reason why I actually ended up doing this in the first place. And it's really fun to actually try to use Yulong and Xuen as new mercenaries in the game mode, though I really did want to do something with Nizao. I just haven't done all his tasks, so he isn't leveled up completely. That might be for next week. It really depends on if we also will see the final 2 bounties for Alterac Valley unlock next week or the week after the event actually ends. Either way, this build is a really fun build to actually play. No one really is expecting Yulong right now, and most people just completely ignore her, and that's the strength of her as it currently stands, because being able to do 40 damage if you're in a attack-based matchup is really insane, especially because most attack-based mercenaries that are being used are fighters, so you're really doing 80 damage as a bare minimum. And the ability to actually scale your nature damage by 12 damage in 1 turn if you actually use Enveloping Mist before Brightwing dies is pretty good too. Though I will say the mercenary that I did not expect the most out of, that was actually really incredibly strong in this build, is Xuen. Xuen is a really nice finisher for a nature-based team, and it helps diversify the usual mono color build of nature as a whole. I know people use Malfurion, but for the most part, nature has historically been mainly just casters, and this allows you to actually scale damage in another way. Also, even though I didn't get any footage of it, Cookie being able to make the bleeds incredibly big is really funny to actually think about, as this isn't something that most people are going to think of when trying to scale up nature damage, and it makes Yulong really good, and also gives another use for Cookie besides his normal use in any team that I put him in. That being said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.